Howdy, y'all. I'm Justin.
And I'm Kim.
Welcome to Cowboys Like Us, the podcast where we talk about Taylor Swift and her music. Yeehaw. Hello, and welcome to Cowboys Like Us, the only podcast entirely powered by Dayquil and Robitussin. That's right, the sickest podcast on the internet.
In more than one way.
That's right. Sick in that we are a great badass podcast, but also because we both have the ick.
Yes.
We don't know exactly what it is, but it's probably a cold, the flu or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a variation of the common cold / flu.
'Tis the damn season.
Yep.
He got there.
It's just our bodies reacting to the weird on and again, off again, cold, hot weather we're having here in the great state of Alabama.
Indeed. 49th best in the union. We say all of this only to let you know that if we sound weird, that's what it is.
Yes.
So, we're going to gut this thing out, summon the dog within, and power through.
We didn't want to leave y'all hanging.
But if we sound weird, or we are delirious and make non sequiturs, that's what that is.
Yeah. Or if there are weird cuts because or either one of us are sniffing or coughing our heads off or something like that.
Indeed. So, with all of that said, today we're going to talk about We Were Happy, which is one of the vault tracks from Fearless TV.
Yep.
But first,
that's what we're talking about.
But first, let's get into some news. News from around the Taylorverse. Tayvis update for y'all.
Oh yeah, Kim's favorite part of the week.
A lot of things happened. First off, Taylor and Travis were photographed walking around New York City holding hands. And in at least one of the photos, you can clearly see they're doing the interlocked finger handhold, not the palm handhold you do with your nana. Mm-hmm. So, the romantic one.
A lot of people have made that comparison because she only ever did the palm handhold with Joe.
Ooh.
And Travis is really getting his fingers in there.
Yeah, he is.
On Travis and Jason's podcast, their intern Brandon talked about all the people analyzing his hand-holding technique. Right. And he's like, you guys, it's 3 points of contact. It's how you hold a football.
There it is. Also, Travis and Taylor both appeared on Saturday Night Live this past Saturday. Travis was in a sketch about their romance and the reactions that the NFL has had to it. And Taylor did the intro for Ice Spice as the week's musical guest. The photos in question were from them after the SNL after party. An anonymous source who attended the party said that Taylor and Travis were kissing throughout the evening and being very affectionate. They then went out again the next night. More pics, more hand-holding. Taylor then at some point met Travis's dad.
That was at the game.
At the game? The
game.
Thursday night game?
Yep.
The other day. Travis said of the meeting, yeah, Taylor talking to Dad, you already know. You know Dad like I know Dad. This is a terrifying conversation. I felt terrible for Taylor. And obviously that was to Jason on the...
I was going to say, for context, he was talking to Jason. Jason's the one who knows Dad like he knows Dad.
Right. But Papa Kelsey seems to be on the Tayvis bandwagon.
The funniest part of that whole part of their podcast was when they were making up what they thought that Papa Kelsey was talking to Taylor about. And they were like, I went to the library and checked out all of your CDs and I burned them onto my computer. And it was funny.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of listeners send in what they thought they were talking about. So it was like his new knees and things like that. It was very funny.
That sounds funny. Travis said, you can see in the picture, he's just pumping her up. He started listening to her music more. He started doing some stuff. So he's on board.
He is on board. You love to see a supportive father.
Indeed. The Eras Tour movie came out, and it opened to great critical and commercial success. It is already, as of the opening weekend, the highest grossing concert film of all time, with a worldwide gross of $128 million. The previous record holder was Mr. Justin Bieber, his Never Say Never film back in 2011.
I will never say never.
That is that song.
I will fight. Okay, anyway.
The Beeps film made $99 million over its entire theatrical run, and Taylor beat it in 3 days. So
yeah, well, that makes sense.
Indeed. According to Sean Robbins, chief analyst at boxoffice.com, the film's debut was an undeniable tentpole level success, despite the challenges of predicting what it might achieve. Swift, her fans, and the theatrical exhibition should all be celebrating the results. So, big win for everyone, says Sean.
Oh, somebody else. Who else said good things?
Christopher Nolan said
Yes,
it was the
that's what it
future
was.
of film movie going or something.
I was like, it's a big name. I couldn't remember. But yes, yeah. He had a lot of nice things to say about Taylor.
He made the Christian Bale Batman films.
Yes.
And he made Inception, and he's made lots of films. So, big compliment for sure. The Taylor Swift conference is coming up very soon. It will be hosted by Indiana University, Bloomington, from November 2nd through November 5th. And throughout the conference, there will be keynote talks, panels, and workshops with over 30 national and global scholars. The event is free and open to the public. So if you can get to Bloomington and you want to go, why the hell not?
Let's go, bro.
Hell yeah.
Oh, no.
Social media was ablaze on Wednesday? Yeah, it was on Wednesday. Because a documentary suddenly appeared from the ether onto Amazon Prime, and it was called The Unstoppable Taylor Swift. We, as a podcast staff, watched it so that you don't have to.
Yes.
It was 49 minutes long. It was extremely cheap and very poorly made, and it had absolutely no new information of any kind. If you are enough of a Swiftie that you listen to this podcast, then you know everything that's in it. Mm-hmm. There's no original interviews with Taylor, for the documentary. There's no anything. It's just stock footage and seemingly AI voiceover. They claim it's a real woman. I can't find anything about her on the internet. I looked it up her name.
I don't think she's real. She's a robot.
Yeah, I think so.
I think if you're a Swiftie enough to listen to this podcast, you already know everything in the documentary. If you're not a Swiftie, but you listen to this podcast, you've heard everything in this documentary on this podcast at some point or another.
Or you will, in a better, more in-depth way.
Yeah.
If we haven't got to a point yet.
Yeah.
It's coming. You don't need to see the film.
The documentary very much, was skewed, very pro Joe Alwyn, I feel like.
I don't know. It felt like it didn't have anything to say, which is weird. Other than Taylor Swift is winning hard, which, she is, but you didn't need 49 minutes to say that.
The timeline of the documentary made no sense whatsoever.
No. Based on its opening text, it seemed like it was going to focus on the Masters controversy.
Yeah.
And then the re-recordings. But it didn't really. Not in the type of focus or depth you'd hope for.
No.
So.
It talked about the re-records, but it didn't talk about 1989 or the Speak Now release of the re-record, even though it talked about tour and parts of tour and things that happened after Speak Now, Taylor's version was released. Mm-hmm. So it really didn't make any sense.
No, it's a mess. It's a cheap, joyless cash grab from Mr. Jeff Bezos. He doesn't need any more cash, so don't give it to him. 1989, Taylor's version.
Yes.
We are now within 1 week of the release date.
When you're listening to this, we have 4 days? 3 days?
If you're listening on the drop day, yeah.
On drop day, yeah. On
of
Monday.
This episode. Friday, October 27th, 2023. And I personally have been dying the past week or so, trying desperately to fight the overwhelming urge to listen to the stolen version. But for the sake of our Empress, I have resisted.
Yeah.
And when she ascends to her heavenly queendom, I will be seated at her right hand. For I, unlike so many other so-called Swifties, am pure and righteous. Just want to let y'all know that. As of today, Friday, October 20th, as we record this podcast, we got run times for the vault tracks. So that's fun. The longest is Say Don't Go at 4 minutes 39 seconds, while the shortest is Now That We Don't Talk, which is just 2 minutes and 26 seconds long. So a little shorty.
That's barely a song.
Yep, so it's basically a pop punk song length. They're not very long usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. And the total between the 5 tracks that are on the regular version, 5 vault tracks that are on it, ended up being like 16 minutes and something. So basically average song length for the most part. The Cruelest Summer EP was released a couple days back. It contains 3 songs, or rather it contains 1 song performed in 3 different ways. Track 1 is Cruel Summer Live from the Eras Tour film. Track 2 is Cruel Summer, the LP Giobi remix.
No idea how you pronounce that name.
Yeah, I don't know. LP Giobi remix. And then track 3 is the original version of Cruel Summer. So
yeah, this is just one last effort to get Cruel Summer to number 1.
yeah, we'll get to it in Chart Watch, but it was supposed to do it this week and it didn't. So trying to give it one more push.
Yeah.
The live version of Cruel Summer is cool, I think.
Yeah.
I'm glad we have it. The
I
dance.
I like her little like flares on it. I like the things that make it different from the original.
You could tell it's a live mic that she's on.
I do like that it includes her like threatening us in the bridge when she's coming up to it. When she's like, "Do you know the lyrics to this song?" And everybody's like, "Whoa!" And she's like, "Prove it!"
Yep. And I like the "Oh Hi."
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun. Go listen to it. The dance mix reminds me a bit of Cotton Eye Joe by Rednecks from the 90s. It just has that persistent sort of backbeat throughout, just oomps, 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 the whole time. It's very much a club song, so...
It's so fast.
It is. The vocals are sped up and pitched up, so it's interesting. It's interesting.
I want Taylor to sing the remix version and see if she can keep up, because I don't think she can.
Do you remember that song Roses that came out a few years back that was like high-pitched and dancey?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is, of course, a remix as well. It's a gentleman rapping that song. It's much slower. So, well, it's been done before, to be sure. But I don't know how one would perform it live.
No, I just think it'd be funny, because she wouldn't be able to do it.
No one could. r/Taylor Swift broke the 1 million subscribers mark this week. Congratulations. We are not allowed to self-promote this podcast on the sub. It's against their sub rules. I looked, but we would like to. So if you are a member of r/Taylor Swift and you want to give us a shout out over there, we would appreciate it. That'd be real cool of you to do that.
Also just tell your friends about
That's
the
right.
podcast.
Word of mouth, that's the best way.
If you're on that Reddit board, you probably also have friends that listen to Taylor Swift.
Probably. Tell all your friends about it. Threaten them with a gun to listen to the
I thought you were going to say a
catalog.
good time, and I was going to agree.
Is that not what I said? It's something with a G that I said. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's move on to Chart Watch. Chart Watch! On the Billboard Arts 100 chart, Taylor dropped to number 2 this week, behind Drake at number 1. And Drake is also the man who prevented Cruel Summer, blocked it from potentially going to number 1, because he took basically the top 3 and then like 8 out of the top 10, like a lot of it is all Drake, because he had a new album come out recently.
I heard that he's giving Michael Jackson a run for his money. He's dead, but...
He is dead. I don't know about all that.
He's like set to be the... I don't want to say it wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. He, like Taylor, is winning a lot. And congratulations to him. We are not particularly big Drake fans here on this podcast, but he's fine.
Pretty neutral.
Yep.
I watched Degrassi back in the day.
Do your thing.
I like the song All I'm Bling. I also like, what's the other song that I know all the lyrics to? What's the YOLO song?
I believe it's called The Motto.
It is. That is it. That is it. I don't know what the song's called, but I know every word to it.
On the Billboard Hot 100 Singles Chart, Cruel Summer, like we said, was blocked by Drake's album and all his songs, and it dropped 6 spots to number 9 this week. Anti-Hero also fell a lot, 21 spots down to number 41, and Karma with Ice Spice dropped all the way out.
Wow.
So hopefully soon the 1989 TV will put a bunch of songs in the chart. But until then,
I'm sure.
it's getting slim.
Blank Space will be up there. Style will be up there. Wildest Dreams will be up there.
I assume every song will chart the first week. Like,
Yeah, I just think those will be like at the top.
staying around, yeah. Could be. We'll see. On the Billboard Top 200 Albums chart, Midnight's is up 1 to number 7. Lover is up 1 to number 10. Folklore remains at 15. Speak Now dropped 2 spots to number 19. 1989, the stolen version, down 2 spots to number 20. Reputation, down 2 spots to number 21. Red TV, down 2 spots to 23. Evermore, up 6 spots to number 31. And Fearless Taylor's version, down 1 spot to number 61. So, kind of a mixed bag of a week on the charts for Taylor. At this point, we would normally throw to the clown corner. Kimberly doesn't have any clownery for us today, so we will not be visiting the circus.
Apologies. I could go on a rant about new evidence about a double drop black and white album, but I think you're tired of hearing about that.
Yes, perhaps. Kimberly...
Don't say yes, you turd.
Kimberly is an adamant double album truther.
I am. At some point. I'm not really 100% confident one way or the other, like, what day we're getting it. Are we getting it at the same time? Are we getting it on November 10th? I'm not 100% sure. However, I think there are 2 albums, and I think they're coming.
I think, just a quick note on that. I think it's very interesting that people saw Taylor wearing black and white outfits sometimes, and instead of going, the Reputation colors, like the album.
No, they did.
They instead created a second 1989 album out of whole cloth because that made them happy.
No. The Swifties, who didn't want to look any further into it, who wanted to just look at things on the surface, much like yourself did. They were like, oh, we're getting Reputation, 1989, Reputation, 1989, Reputation. And then the rest of us were like, no. There's so much evidence here to back up it being a black and white album, feature album, partner album, sister album, whatever, that, we just look deeper into things than y'all do.
Yeah, they see the world wildly and in wild ways. So,
in wildest dreams.
Indeed. Well,
we see the world how Taylor has conditioned us to see the world.
Perhaps. Let's move on to the song of the week. So, We Were Happy was originally released on Fearless Taylor's version as a vault track. It was written by Taylor Swift and Liz Rose, a frequent early collaborator of Taylor, and it was produced by Taylor Swift and Mr. Aaron Dessner.
Speaking of Liz Rose, the only thing that we found out in that horrible documentary that we watched was that the original draft of All Too Well was 20 minutes long. And all I have to say to Taylor and Liz Rose is, drop the 20-minute version, you cowards.
That's right. One of these days is coming out. We'll see. Chart info for We Were Happy? Well, it didn't chart on the Hot 100 at all. Didn't make it. Sad face. But it did peak at number 43 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart.
Interesting.
In 2020, or whenever Fearless TV came out. 2021? No.
2022.
2022?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, anyway, long after Taylor...
Maybe it was 2021.
...had stopped making country music.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, that's fun. What has Taylor said about this song?
Taylor said, I'm really honored that Keith Urban is a part of this project, duetting on That's When and singing harmonies on We Were Happy. I was his opening act during the Fearless album era, and his music has inspired me endlessly.
That's right. That's all we got about this song was that Keith Urban's on it, and she was honored to have him.
He did harmonies.
Yep. So, there you go.
Interesting.
Critical reception. AV Club called it an evocative love song. Clash complimented its folklore-esque minimalism. The Independent said it was just lovely. Times of London said it has sharp turns of phrase and conveys both maturity and nostalgia. What about the fans? Do they like it?
Our boy Rob Sheffield.
Big boy Rob.
Big boy Rob ranked it 114 out of all of Taylor Swift tracks. He
About
said
240 now.
Yeah. He said, this Fearless outtake would have made quite a highlight on the album. How did she let this one get away? It was just too damn sad, even by her standards. We Were Happy has both Liz Rose and Aaron Dessner in the credits, making this the perfect storm of Taylor weepers.
That's right. It'll make you feel feelings, says Rob. What about
Interesting.
What about the Reddit folks? Do they like it?
r/Taylor Swift ranked it number 19 out of 26 tracks on Fearless.
Too low. Too low. You heard it here first. I think it's probably around 12, 13 for me. Somewhere in there, I would think.
Yeah, I think 19's a little low, but not crazy.
No, it's not. It's not crazy. Yeah. It's not crazy, but it's a little low for me.
I also feel like 114 out of 240 is a little high, but not crazy.
I'd say it's probably about right for me, but we'll get to that in a second. But first, let's talk about the lyrics a bit. Verse number 1. We used to walk along the streets when the porch lights were shining bright. Before I had somewhere to be, back when we had all night, and we were happy. I do recall a good while back, we snuck into the circus. You threw your arms around my neck back when I deserved it, and we were happy. First off, much like another Taylor Swift and Liz Rose collab, Fearless, the song, we start off with some very strong imagery right out of the gate. I think maybe that's a thing Liz Rose likes to do.
Maybe.
Or steer Taylor toward. But I do love the imagery. Small town, walking around just because you're young. You haven't got anywhere else to be or anything better to do.
Relatable.
Yep, we've all been there. The circus, I think, is an interesting choice as a sort of inclusion. Sort of quaint and old-timey. Adds to the vibe of the song, I think. And why does the speaker no longer deserve a hug? Arms around her neck. What changed? Have they done something wrong to blow the relationship up? Or do they simply take being single as an indictment on their worth as a human being? We'll come back to that. Spoilers. But first, the chorus. When it was good, baby, it was good, baby. We showed them all up. No one could touch the way we laughed in the dark, talking about your daddy's farm we were going to buy someday, and we were happy. Ah, to be young and in love. Dreaming is easy, young man. Living is harder. And also, why do they gotta buy daddy's farm? Is daddy a Scrooge, a miser, or did he lose the farm because of, financial problems, and the son's goal in life is to rebuy the family farm one day? We are left to wonder.
Maybe it's I kind of thought about it in the way that it's the son's dream, and it's like their dream together to get to a point to be able to buy the farm off the parents.
But just let them retire to a quiet condo or something.
Take over running the farm.
They don't gotta work on the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be cool. Small town life. We've all been there. Verse 2. We used to watch the sun go down on the boats in the water. That's sort of how I feel right now. And goodbye is so much harder because we were happy. Love the boats, man. Imagery of the boats in the water, watching the sunset over the water. Because I am beach trash through and through. You can take me from the beach, but I'm still me, I love that shit. I used to go sit on Fairhill Pier and just look out at the lights of Mobile Bay and the boats coming through.
Be moody.
Magical times. Sunsets are an ending, naturally. They're beautiful to look at, but they are also in a way very sad because of what they represent, the end of the day. And consequently, a symbol and a reminder that all things, no matter how beautiful and how magical, one day end. We make beautiful memories with people in our lives, but then the relationship or the friendship ends, and the nostalgia that we have, the memories, are bittersweet. Because don't don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. People say that, and it's a good thing to say, but it's harder to live, harder to do that. It can be very, very hard, I think, to deal with that feeling, that dichotomy. Under the bridge. Oh, I hate those voices telling me that I'm not in love anymore. They don't give me choices, and that's what these tears are for. Because we were happy, we were happy. It's an interesting thing right here in the bridge. The speaker wants to love her partner, right? But she just, for whatever reason, does not anymore. And that's not a feeling that I personally have experienced. But I assume that is why she feels she no longer deserves arms around her neck, because she can't love the dude in the song. That's not fair to herself. You can't make yourself feel what you don't feel, but that doesn't mean you're happy about the way you feel. Sometimes we feel feelings we wish we didn't feel, and we live with that as best we can, and it can be tough at times. But it wouldn't be fair to them either, to the partner, to pretend to love him, and then what? How long are you going to keep that charade going? So, honesty is the only path. And then just a quick little final chorus line change. Instead of, and we were happy, it's, and you were going to marry me. Or in place of, we were going to buy someday. Anyway, just a bummer, man. One has to wonder, or at least I do wonder, if this is the same relationship being referenced in this song that Taylor is singing about on Midnight Rain. A path that she could have walked down, but she instead chose not to. Taylor could have had the picture perfect shiny family holiday peppermint candy, but she had to chase her larger dreams of being a musical superstar, which she is now. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't sometimes look back and feel a little bit melancholy about it and wonder what may have been.
I definitely see the connection that you see between the two songs, but based on who I think Midnight Rain is about, this song couldn't be about him. But we'll talk about that in Midnight Rain.
All right. Well, let's move on to our overall thoughts. Kimberly, would you like to go first?
Sure. The sound of this song makes it super obvious to me that the song was written closer, kind of at the beginning of the writing stage for Fearless, at the cusp of debut into Fearless. Mm-hmm. The chorus and the bridge scream Fearless, but the verses are very debut. It sounds very much like one of the songs on debut, and my brain, I am sick. So, it is not recalling things well. I'm also pregnant, so I have pregnancy brain. But every time I listen to this song, I'm like, there is a song on debut that sounds just like this song. And I can't remember which one it is, and I don't want to go listen to them and give Scooter my money. So I'm resisting. But when debut comes out, I'm going to be like, that's it. That's the song. The chorus and the guitar and the chorus are a bop. And I kind of wish that the whole song kept that vibe, started with that vibe and kept it all the way through, rather than the back and forth, up and down that it has. The chorus is really high and the verses are really low. It, for me, is easily one of the best Fearless Vault tracks, but that's because the Fearless Vault is lackluster.
Damn, she went there. She went there. For me, I overall like this song. It hurts to listen to, just because, like Rob said, it's quite sad, quite melancholy, but it's a lovely song. I, unlike Kimberly, kind of like the up and down nature, the dichotomy between the verse and the chorus. I think the verses are sort of laid back, very atmospheric, and they build, and then soaring chorus, which I think is a cool song structure that we see a lot from a lot of artists, and one I enjoy personally. And like Kimberly said, it is also one of my favorite from the Fearless Vault, along with Mr. Perfectly Fine. They are obviously very different songs with very different vibes, but I think they're the best of the bunch, and I'm very glad that we got both of them. So let's move on to ratings. For those of you who may be unaware, we rate every single song on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is very bad, 10 is very good, 5 is very mid. Kimberly, what do you rate We Were Happy?
It's a 6.
There it is.
Is a 6.
The faintest praise we can get.
It is better than mid, but there are better, you know?
Indeed. For me, it's a 7 because I like it a little bit better than Kimberly does. I think it's a very solid song. I think it could have easily made the Fearless standard version track list. There are definitely some I would take it over. So
I'd take any song in the vault over Change.
So there you go. Yeah. And I'm glad we got it as a vault song. So
Yeah.
a 7 for me and the 6 for Kimberly. If you would like to tell us how you rate it, you can vote in our poll, which is going to be in the episode description on Spotify and up on our social media. We are on X, and we are on Instagram, and we are on Threads at
CBLU_podcast.
Yep, so go there and vote. And also, if you don't follow us on those platforms, you should. Why not?
Yeah, why don't you?
What would it hurt? It's free, you dumbass. Go ahead and do that.
Madeline's having a great time over there.
Indeed, they are. They are indeed. And you could have a great time too by following us on social media.
Join the party.
Indeed. What is our song for next week going to be?
I sure wish I knew.
Oh, gotta keep scrolling.
Oh, it's ours.
Indeed. Ours, one of the bonus tracks from Speak Now.
Another instance of a song that I was a really big fan of when it first came out. To be determined whether or not that is still the case.
Indeed. Does it hold up? Find out next week. Until then, thank you so much for listening. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Cowboys Like Us. Follow us on Instagram, Threads, and X at CBLU_podcast. Email us directly at cowboyslikeUspodcast@gmail.com. New episodes every Monday on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Y'all come back now, you hear?